You see, everything is very, very normal.
Hi there, and welcome to Baseball by Design. I am SportsLogos.net minor league baseball correspondent Paul Caputo, broadcasting live, as always, from the Sunday Helmet Hall of Fame and Hanshin Tigers Championship headquarters here in Fort Collins, Colorado.
And I am Dan Simon, broadcasting live because there's really no other way to broadcast.
That's true.
From the Studio Simon headquarters in Louisville, Kentucky.
We really only have one pedant who gets after us about the fact that we're not actually broadcasting, that we're recording and then, posting that recording for people to download. I say Hanshin Tigers Championship headquarters because, Dan, we've been a little mopey in the last few weeks about our respective teams. Your Yankees, my Phillies, not doing well in the Major League Baseball playoffs. Your Dodgers, where you worked for 6 seasons, look like they're just on an unstoppable run towards a second consecutive title. But the silver lining in my baseball life right now is that my adopted Nippon League team in Japan, the Hanshin Tigers, just won their 5th ever Central League Championship to go to they have advanced to the Nippon League final round, the final championship series, where they have only been, I think, 4 times, and they have only won twice in 1985 and 2023. So very exciting times. I got up this morning, I streamed it, I watched it with my friend Masa, who has been a guest on this podcast. So it was a lot of fun early in the morning this morning to watch the Hanshin Tigers clinch the sweep over the hated Yokohama Bay Stars. So anyhow, it was a fun morning for me baseball-wise. I've already watched a whole baseball game.
I was actually, believe it or not, coincidentally thinking about your friend Masa just recently. I remember it was when I was walking to work, and for some reason I was thinking about the fact that, I grew up in the New York, New Jersey area, and there is a city in Long Island or on Long Island named Massapequa.
Ah,
Massapequa, Long Island. And I was wondering if your friend Masa's last name might be Pequa.
it's Shintani, but I believe it's pronounced Piqua. Of course, Dan, the Hanshin Tigers' main colors are black and yellow. The Normal CornBelters in Normal, Illinois, they also have yellow as one of their main colors. So it's a seamless transition from the Hanshin Tigers to the Normal CornBelters. They have a corn-based logo. It came after your Cedar Rapids Colonels logo, which is also a corn-based character. 2 very different characters, but as we discussed on the 200th episode of Baseball by Design, this CornBelters logo was actually somewhat inspired by your Cedar Rapids Colonels logo.
Yes, as that has been mentioned in the podcast. Here's another connection to that I have to the Normal CornBelters. As you know, recently the new brand identity for the new Los Angeles Dodgers affiliate in Ontario, California was unveiled. When I was tasked with helping come up with a name for that team. Now, by the way, that name did not come from me. Not that there's anything that I'm trying to divorce myself from that, but I'm not taking credit for that name. That came from somebody else. But one of the things that we didn't discuss in that episode was things about the history of Ontario. We just talked about the airport. And what I do anytime I'm trying to come up with a name for a team is, of course, one of the things I do is I look at the history of that particular city or region. And what that area, the Inland Empire, used to be known for do you know what it used to be known for primarily?
I'm going to guess some sort of agriculture, possibly related to a stalk-based starchy vegetable.
Not corn.
Not
Produce,
corn.
yes. Corn,
Okay.
no. Citrus. It was
Of course.
basically one of, the citrus capital of the United States. It is no longer because what happened after World War II, all these soldiers returning home from the war needed places to live, and real estate developers realized that they could buy up this land relatively inexpensively and make more money from selling houses there. And to this day, it continues to grow out there. So anyway, what does this have to do with the normal corn belters? Well, one of the names I had proposed was the Ontario citrus belters because
Ah,
that area was known as the citrus belt.
I like it. Citrus belters, and the logo possibilities are kind of endless there. So would have been fun. But of course, it's hard to imagine a world now without those Ontario Tower buzzers. So put that one in your back pocket, Dan. Maybe we'll see it come up with another team someday.
Potentially. Well, yes, because I wonder if any place in Florida was known as the citrus belt. Not important. Let's stop babbling on like we are.
Let's get to the interviews, Dan. We have Jarrett Rogers today, who's the general manager with the Normal Corn Belters. And I will be speaking with minor league baseball superfan Lynn Smith. And then, Dan, you're always back. You're always back with a Studio Simon Stumper. You've been a stalwart for now more than 140 episodes out of the 200 and some that we've done. So I look forward to chatting with you to see what you've come up with for a stumper. Let's go talk to Jarrett Rogers.
Okay, I'm looking forward to hearing that, and I'm looking forward to seeing you for a stumper.
I am so pleased to welcome to Baseball by Design Jarrett Rogers, who is the general manager for the Normal CornBelters. Jarrett, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
You're lying right now because you and I were just talking at the time of this recording. You and I were both Philadelphia sports fans. We are coming off a pretty brutal weekend of Philadelphia sports, but I'm perhaps dating the recording of this because this will drop a little bit after that. But who knows? Maybe by the time this drops, some miracle will have happened and our teams will be doing way better than they are after this weekend. But to answer your question, I'm also doing fine, I guess. I'm very excited to be talking about this really fun collegiate summer level logo. You all play in Normal, Illinois, which is fun because the town is called Normal. You have a logo that I would describe as not at all normal. So before we get
Yes.
into the logo, the corn belters. What does the name mean? What is a corn belter?
Yes. No, thank you. I appreciate it. And yeah, I am definitely hiding, the last what I felt for the last 3 days and trying to forget that as quickly as possible.
For the
Um,
listener, we were recording this at a time when the Phillies dropped two playoff games and the Eagles suffered a come from ahead loss for their first loss of the season. I'm in Fort Collins, Colorado, so there's of course a ton of Broncos fans here. So, yeah, we're both suffering right now. And you're in Illinois where you were saying Cubs fans are suffering right now because they're down
yeah.
2-0 to the Brewers. All of this is ancient news by the time folks are actually listening to this. So, corn belters. What is a corn
Yes.
belter?
Yeah, so we have a very unique naming rights deal. I mean, just about every stadium out there has naming rights for their stadium. Ours is actually tied to the name of the team itself. Our name and title sponsor is the Illinois Corn Growers Association and has been since the inception of the original team in 2010. So, as part of that agreement, they actually had an influence in naming the team that has still lasted to this day. And it's really cool, right? Because we're representative of the region. We are the state that produces the second most amount of corn in the United States, as it turns out. And so it is a really cool regional tie-in that is a lot of fun. And, obviously representative of where we are in central Illinois.
That statement begs the question, which state is number one?
It is Iowa,
Oh, it is Iowa.
unfortunately. So
Okay.
yeah, it is Iowa. We do have two teams in our league from Iowa. We would love to try to get back at them by winning every once in a while.
And they're not in the same league. They play a different classification of baseball, but of course, Cedar Rapids, the Colonels, have a
Yes.
corn-based logo as well. They have a much more serious corn-based logo. Your normal corn belters logo. You know what? Before we get to the logo, the town's called Normal. Is there a story behind why this town in Illinois is called Normal?
Yeah, I believe it was a specific type of school. At least this is according to the internet, but called a normal school. And of course, the history here in Normal is that it's been the home of Illinois State University. And so, we are a college town. We are one of the stops along Route 66, one of the larger metro areas here in central Illinois. And we are sandwiched right between Peoria, of course, Bradley University, and Urbana-Champaign, the University of Illinois.
Makes sense. I've been to Urbana-Champaign actually. It's a cool college town. It's a fun spot to be. I've never had the pleasure of going to a baseball game in Normal, Illinois. Never been to a CornBelters game. This team has been around since 2010.
Yes.
That you all were in the Frontier League from 2010 to 2018, and now in the Prospect League. This brand has basically been around since 2010, right? Like this brand has been unchanged since the team was founded.
That's right. Yeah. Under previous ownership, when they did found the team and build the stadium, the Corn Crib in 2010, like I said, the name and title sponsorship was in place from that day all the way through now, through our partnership with the Corn Growers Association. But I will say, obviously, that name has drawn a lot of excitement at first, and has been a great brand for this team in this community for, going on 16 years here.
Well, it's really eye-catching. It's really funny. I don't know if you hear this a lot, but I saw it and I immediately thought Bill the Cat from Bloom County. Like absolutely looks like Bill the Cat. Bloom County is one of my all-time favorite comic strips. I think he looks very much like that character. But, for a collegiate summer level team in 2010, this brand was pretty far out there. You didn't see a lot of teams at this level pushing the envelope with really silly, fun brands. For the, if you're listening to this and you haven't seen the brand, it is an ear of corn with, I guess you could describe it as hair, but it's the whatever those little strands are that you pull off corn after you shuck it. So it sort of looks like he's got sort of like frazzled hair. He's got two different sized eyes, which is, I think, the Bill the Cat connection for me. And the eyelids are like half closed. So he definitely looks like he's walking home after a long weekend, maybe when his sports teams had a really bad time of it. I don't know. Like that's sort of the feeling that I get from him. And he's got the two sort of husks coming off the side as arms are sort of like flopped down. I'm imitating all of this with my arms. It's just an audio podcast, so you can't see anything that I'm doing. But he looks almost like he's resting on the word corn belters, and he's had a really long weekend. Not the most menacing of sports mascots, definitely silly and fun. What's normally I would ask a more specific question than this, but like, what's the thinking behind this really fun, wacky logo?
Yeah, we love the logo. We
Oh
love the
yeah.
branding. That's why it has remained unchanged even through an ownership change and a team change as we are now a proud member of the Prospect League. But I mean, it definitely is something that fans can latch on to, right? We even have people that, reach out to us just interested in getting merch and getting things that have corn belters on it just because of that logo and branding and they think it's cool just as a baseball fan. I mean, we love it, and it plays so perfectly into the stadium with being the corn crib and having the branding that we have. It's a lot of fun too. I know we were just talking about the Illinois Valley Pistol Shrimp from a league having a shrimp versus corn thing going on for Highway 39. It is pretty awesome. So it allows us to do a lot of cool things that really have fun with this name and logo that we have.
So conversely, though, if you look at the uniforms that the team wears, for the most part, and I know you have some fun different ones that you do, but for the most part, like the home whites are pretty pretty conservative. They're pretty sort of standard home whites. I just described it just like that, basically. Like it's a kind of traditional baseball uniform. When the team takes the field, is that intentional to have a more traditional baseball look?
Yeah, when we redid the uniforms 2 years ago, we really wanted to have more of a classic look. It is summer ball. You do get wacky colors, wacky uniform choices. I mean, we have teams in our league that play a game in jorts, jean shorts. There's all kinds of stuff going on out there. I will say we did want to have, more of a classic look, even on the road too. And so that's why we incorporated our seldom used N logo as an
Hmm.
alternate that ended up on our home cap. We did something akin to what the Baltimore Orioles do with their home uniforms, with having the home hat with the white panel on the front of the crown and then green on the rest so that it matches the home whites. And we love that script font that's just across the home jersey. Just think it's perfect to invoke, all the reasons that we love baseball and all the reasons why, folks from communities like ours have been watching local live baseball games for generations.
You mentioned the seldom used end cap. There, you have one of the things that I do during these conversations is I will, or before the conversations, is noodle around on the team store a little bit and just see which are the popular logos. And this N logo is pretty cool, right? Like it's pretty slick looking in contrast to the intentionally, fun primary logo, the character logo. The N has, two vertical strokes that are yellow and then a green corn husk that is the diagonal stroke. And then it's got more of these strands, these fibers from a corn. There's probably a word for, do you know, is there a word for that you guys use for these little strands, these fibers coming out the top of Corny's head and the top of this N logo?
Yeah, I must say I'm not the expert on corn anatomy, but I believe that might be the tassel.
Oh, the tassel. That's what it is. Okay, it is the tassel. All right, thank you, Jarrett. But that N logo also has a sort of more classic feeling to it. And, you described it being on this tritone hat that has kind of an Oakland A's feeling about it. Now, I'm not trying to date the podcast more than I already have, but Sacramento A's, I should have said. It's got the green, yellow, and then the white front panel, the yellow brim, the green back, and the white front panel there. That's a pretty cool logo. Is that one that you might, that we might see more of in the future?
Yeah, we dug it out for this uniform set, and also, we wanted to go to that. Like we said, more classic, more traditional, having the team name Corn Belters in the home jersey, having the city name Normal on the road jerseys, which are green with the yellow font. So to go along with the normal script on the home jerseys, we on the road jerseys we wanted to do the classic city name Normal. And so that's where we take that N logo and we figured we would flip them on the caps. That way the caps can be interchanged. We got that N logo coming up on our white panel home hat, and we have our classic primary logo on the green road hat. And those could also then be used for, we've used that hat then to put on a black Batman jersey or red, white, and blue or a Willy Wonka, really all kinds of things.
Yeah. One of the things that you see with logos that were designed, in 2010 instead of 2020 is you're likely to have a lot fewer alternates, secondary, tertiary, a lot of these logo sets that you see now will have, several different cap logos and then three or four, alternates or tertiary marks. You all have, you've got your word marks, you've got the N logo, and you've got the character. So I can't imagine that a really popular collegiate summer level brand like this that you would ever rebrand. But has there ever been conversation about expanding the brand to include maybe, more alternates? Maybe, a lot of teams like the Lake Elsinore Storm will do just the eyes, right? Like that sort of thing. Are there conversations about, ways this brand might expand?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, definitely no consideration as to changing the brand. We love it.
Good.
But yeah, it's allowed us to get a little creative, and it's something we're going to continue to do. I mean, we've had black alternates. I believe the previous team had some yellow alternates, which is always something that comes up as a future possibility to interchange the yellow. But for example, we have the hat that's got just those eyes on it. We had a specialty jersey set, a rebranding, a one night only rebranding of the team for Ag Night, where we became the Stalkers and we had those huge eyes as the focal point of the logo, just because we thought that would be funny. But yeah, it does allow us to get creative. And then obviously, that branding, because it is all encompassing of the stadium as well, allows us to go beyond just the name of the team. So, for example, we house, in addition to the Corn Belters, the Colonels Collegiate League that it exists here in Normal, and each of the four teams in that league play here at the Corn Crib. And so we extend our branding to, all of our summer baseball programs through the KCL, and also have some cool regional tie-ins with those team names and logos.
What is the value of this brand that is so popular outside of the Prospect League outside of Normal Illinois. It's something that, I would imagine is something of an investment to maintain this popular brand. Are you selling gear to folks who don't make it to games? Is it what are other things that are happening with this brand with people who would never make it to a game there?
Yeah, I think it's great and really helpful tool. It can help, obviously being attractive as a brand, as an identity, can help get eyes on our players, can help draw attention to our league and our level of play and all the great things that are happening, with alumni of the Prospect League going on to have pro careers and to get drafted. And it draws eyes to our town in our region. And it is, like I said, so appropriate for the region that it makes sense. Just one of those where you hear it and you say, yes, that makes perfect sense that this team that is, branded the CornBelters is from Central Illinois, this region that's proud to be a leading producer in the ag industry. And yes, we do get some of that. I will say the one merch category that sees the most attention from outside the ballpark, from our fans that live here in Bloomington Normal, are the bobbleheads. We have several bobbleheads of our mascot, Corny. He is a one-of-a-kind Cornosaurus, as he's called, a corn dinosaur. So, Corny as Jackie Moon from semi-pro, Corny as, a stormtrooper, Corny as Uncle Sam, Corny as Tom Cruise from Top Gun, Maverick. I mean, there's a ton of variations at this point because we've done, 2 to 4 per year for several years. And, if you look online, there is a resale market for the Corny bobbleheads, which, always cracks me up.
That is very funny. Yeah, I will have to check that out. Corny is a great mascot. I'm glad you brought him up. And all the different iterations of Corny. That is very funny. All right, one last question for you, Jarrett. And this is, I think, even though it precedes your time with the team, I think it's notable because, just this past season, we had John Oliver's Last Week Tonight get involved with minor league baseball, sing the praises of minor league baseball. And of course, they were directly involved with rebranding the Erie Seawolves as the Moon Mammoths for 4 games. When the Normal CornBelters were going through their Name the Team contest, the fans of the Colbert Report back then, hosted by, of course, Stephen Colbert, who is a friend of John Oliver's, flooded your Name the Team contest with they wanted the team to be the Normal Coal, Coal, Bears, Bears, which is a pretty sort of normal sounding, as it were, minor league baseball team name, but obviously named after Stephen Colbert. So how much of a part of the legacy of the team is that viral incident way back in 2009 is probably when that happened. How much of a part of the legacy of the team is that?
Yeah, it must have had some impact because I've definitely heard about it on multiple occasions, even since starting with the team, just over 10 years later. Yeah, a real sliding doors moment. I can imagine what this place would look like if we were the Colberts, let alone what our stadium would be called right now. But definitely happy that we went in a different direction.
I do feel like there's an opportunity, though, after we saw what happened with John Oliver and the success of the Moon Mammoths. I think there may be an opportunity for a what might have been night to bring Stephen Colbert out and play a game or two as the Colberts. I don't know. Could be funny.
Yep, we're keeping that on our radar, believe me.
Well, Jarrett, this has been so much fun. It really is a fun logo, and I'm doing that very dangerous thing of noodling around on the team store here. So you may see an order going out to Fort Collins, Colorado in the not too distant future. In the meantime, where can people find the Normal CornBelters online on social media, and where can people find you and the work that you do there?
Yeah, so our website is cornbeltersbaseball.com. Facebook, we are Normal Baseball on social media. So feel free to come find us. We are, as far as schedule, we play from the last weekend of May through the end of July and possibly in the first week of August for playoffs. And so, we are getting ready for a strong 2026 season.
Collegiate summer ball is so much fun, and I imagine that it is a fantastic experience in Normal, Illinois. Jarrett, thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it.
All right, everyone, welcome to Baseball by Design. Not for the first time, but for the first time as a planned guest, minor league baseball superfan Lynn Smith. Lynn, how you doing?
Oh, just fine.
Well, thanks for hopping on here and talking about the normal CornBelters. You and I both really like this logo. You like it so much that on the 200th episode of Baseball by Design, you called out the normal CornBelters logo as one that you wanted to highlight, one that really spoke to you. Not your favorite. We were very particular about that because we're not ranking them here, but it was one that you wanted to highlight as a minor league baseball logo that you love, the normal CornBelters. Why do you love this logo so much?
Part of it, I've native of Illinois. I've lived in Iowa for 25 years. It just, this corn logo with the silks flipping out, I guess it's tassels popping out of its head, and the whimsical eyes that are not the same size. It just made me smile and kind of giggle, and it just makes me happy to see this logo.
Well, that is definitely something that minor league baseball is supposed to do. It's supposed to just make us happy. I called you a minor league baseball super fan. Every time I see you on social media, you are at a different ballpark. You, during the season, are everywhere at minor league baseball stadiums. You mentioned you're from Illinois originally. You live in Iowa now. These two teams, the sense that I got speaking to Jarrett Rogers, the GM of the team, is there's a little bit of a competition between Iowa and Illinois. Illinois is second in corn production behind only Iowa, a fact I just learned on this podcast. Do you, as someone with connections to both states, do you feel that rivalry? Is there a corn rivalry in your life?
Maybe not necessarily corn rivalry. I know the University of Iowa down the road from me, they have a big rivalry with all of the border states, with Nebraska, Wisconsin, and Illinois. I think that all three states, and Minnesota too, I forgot about them. They have border rivalry trophy games every year, and it's a big to do for college football.
Yeah, of course. Now, when it comes to deliciousness of corn, it's an objective, unchallenged fact that the best corn comes from New Jersey, the Garden State. That is where you're going to find the best corn in the whole world. But in the battle for second place between Iowa and Illinois, do you have a preference? Which state does better corn?
I think Iowa, but partly I've actually had Illinois corn. I've had them at ball games. Kane County Cougars had corn. Here in Iowa, we had the Colonels, obviously Cedar Rapids Colonels, and the Clinton Lumber Kings did corn nights. And Clinton's second identity is the elotes, which is a Mexican style of corn. And the Colonels also, their Copa logo switched from a 5 seasons thing to a granos, which is corn. Another interesting logo with one single kernel of corn and the leaves or husks bent around to look like a flexing muscular character.
I love that the corn has inspired so many great minor league baseball logos. And you just left my New Jersey corn unchallenged there. You let
I
me
haven't
just
had any. I'll get there someday.
New Jersey corn is delicious. I have a great story that I will tell quickly here where Ranger Amy was telling me that New Hampshire had the best corn. And we went to a lobster bake at her dad's house, and he brought out the corn. And I was like, wow, this corn is really delicious. It's actually quite good. And he said, oh, wow. He's like, that's great. He says, they fly it in fresh from New Jersey every morning. I was like, yes.
You want a corn story? I
do.
A couple years ago, when the Field of Dreams games were here in Iowa, at up in Dyersville, where the movie site was from the '89 movie Field of Dreams, I had the opportunity to work concession stand for the second MLB game, Cubs and Reds. And as the game was ending, we'd walk back through the corn to get to the movie area and then off to your parking lot. And had to be visitors, locals know better. Visitors were snagging the corn off the stalks and like, ooh, I'm going to take it home and cook it. It's feed corn. It tastes horrible. Don't eat it. You go to Field of Dreams and snag an ear of corn. Don't eat it. Don't eat it. Yeah.
You just have to have it like bronzed or vacuum sealed or something and put it on display
Something.
and be like, it's from the Field of Dreams. Yeah, but don't
Yeah.
eat it. That's funny. It's feed corn. It never even occurred to me that there would be, different grades of corn, just like there are different grades of meat, I'm
Hmm.
sure, right? Like, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Even I think this maybe 10 or 12, maybe as much as 15. Someone will listen and correct me and say I'm an idiot because I don't know.
Uh,
But I would say less than 15% of the corn grown in Iowa is actually corn that's made for eating. The rest of it is turned into like ethanol, corn sugar,
mm.
corn syrup, whatever they call that these days, and feed corn for animals, for cattle.
Lynn, my experience has been that Baseball by Design listeners are very kind people, and no one's going to write in and call you an idiot. So I'll let you know if I'm wrong, but I don't think anyone's calling in with that.
Call me out for my lack of corn knowledge.
The well actually crowd is they're listening to other podcasts out there.
Yeah.
So you've been to a Corn Belters game. You're wearing a Corn Belters jersey. You've got the Corn Belters hat right now. Obviously, a team that you like. What drew you for as someone who goes to a bajillion games all around the country? What drew you to go into a Corn Belters game, and what stood out for you in that experience?
Well, when I was visiting a friend that lived and worked in Springfield, Illinois, she's since retired. I was like, well, what can I do on the way home? What is there? And I found this was I think probably their first year, so it was before Baseball Mapper. So it just like Google baseball teams in Illinois,
Oh
and
yeah,
I knew obviously the affiliated the Peoria Chiefs and the Cubs and White Sox, but that's in the wrong direction from Springfield. And
yeah.
there was a team there, the Springfield, before the Lucky Horseshoes. I think it had a turtle logo, but I didn't get to it. They weren't home.
Mm.
So I was like, okay, oh, well, there's this team in Normal, the CornBelters. What's that? And I saw the logo. I was like, there, I must go there. What's their schedule? Okay, done. So went to the corn cribs, saw the game. They did post game fireworks and let fans out. I think just in the foul territory area, but fans don't usually get onto the field to watch fireworks or get onto the field unless you're invited for a in between innings game
Right.
or around the bases. So I was like, oh, I get to sit out on the field and watch fireworks? Sure, sign me up for that. And love the whimsical eyes, the kind of Bill the Cat.
You and I have each made that comparison to Bill the Cat. Bloom County was absolutely one of my favorite comic strips growing up, still one of my favorites. Did they have corn-based concessions?
There were some, I think, pretty much the standard. I don't remember it. There was probably corn on the cob. There might have been. It might not have been. Although it was maybe too early in the season for that, because corn on the cob is best in later July and August.
Right.
And at that point, they were Frontier League in their first few years of existence, and it might not have been in season yet.
I talk about Jersey corn, and usually when I'm in New Jersey, it's going to be like late July. So that is, that is corn season for sure.
They did espouse the world's best bathrooms, the fanciest bathrooms.
Like they laid claim to the world's best bathrooms. All
like
right.
They were not necessarily posh with fur, but nice fixtures. It wasn't, the industrial gray drab bathrooms that you usually find at baseball, football stadiums, an arena of any
Yeah.
sort. So, it was nice. I don't think it was like knock my socks off, but it's the utility. A bathroom is a utilitarian item.
It wasn't like the
What
toilets you find in like a Japanese hotel with all the buttons with the,
No.
you're afraid to press any of them because you're not sure what they're going to do.
No buttons there. No.
Lynn, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you. Thank you so much. I have to say, by the way, you are one of the most generous people in our minor league baseball community that we've established out there when it comes to collecting things that people like and sending them to us, not always as a trade. Sometimes a lot of us are trading and we're sending each other things, but you are the most likely person to just box up a package full of, for instance, I received 5 awesome ice cream helmets from you just yesterday, including one from the Cedar Rapids Colonels, where they had put their logo on there upside down, so that it read right side up while you were eating your ice cream, which not a lot of teams are doing that. So I want to point out that you are very generous and very kind when it comes to sending people things from your baseball travels. So we certainly appreciate that. So thank you for that, and thank you for hopping on and talking about the CornBelters.
It was fun.
It was fun. Lynn, we'll see you at the next Curve Brim Media meetup. We'll see you out there at a minor league ballpark. I hope that other sports can fortify you through this long, dark off season that we have looming ahead of us here.
Hope so. Well, last year I did the Arizona Fall League, and that was a lot of fun.
The Arizona Fall League is fun. I've done that twice, and
I was old enough that I could get all the senior discounts and cheap tickets.
oh, well, that's a good thing. We were too old at the home run contest to be close to the outfield wall. They had roped that off, and they were only letting little kids in there so that the kids could chase down all the home run balls.
That's nice.
It was actually kind of adorable. I liked it. So, all right, Lynn, thanks so much. We'll see you soon.
Alrighty. Thanks, Paul.
All right, everyone, welcome back. It is time once again for Studio Simon Stumpers. I am very pleased to have on the podcast my very good friend Dan Simon. As we inch into the darkness of the off season, Studio Simon Stumpers are the ray of sunshine that we have, keeping us hopeful and looking forward to more baseball. Dan, how are you?
I am fantastic, Paul. Thank you. In our, what do you call the beginning part of the podcast that we do together? The preamble? What do you call it? The intro?
I don't know if I have a name for it. Intro, preamble, both work. I've never really done like a monologue. It was always just like, hi there, and then right into the interviews. So I think the intro, let's call it the intro.
Okay. During the intro, we mentioned produce, did we not?
We sure did. We mentioned citrus in particular.
Okay. Well, and also corn.
And corn, yes.
And well, so let's talk some more about produce, shall we?
I love it. I can't wait.
Okay. So in all of minor league baseball, affiliated and independent, there are only 5 brand identities featuring produce. You've got the aforementioned normal corn. In independent ball, you've got the aforementioned normal CornBelters and the Gastonia Ghost Peppers.
Sure.
In affiliated ball, the also aforementioned Cedar Rapids Kernels and the Columbus Clingstones and the Hillsborough Hops. Interestingly, and that this is not I didn't come up with this question to be self-serving, but the 3 produce brand identities in affiliated minor league baseball were done here at Studio Simon. So
they were all produced by Studio Simon?
I see what you did there. Okay. So with all of that being said, 5 produce identities in all of minor league baseball. There are 202 minor league teams, which we talked about previously, not in this episode, previous episodes. So 5 out of 202 teams. But would you believe in the Collegiate Summer West Coast League, which, by the way, was the subject of one of your episodes?
Yeah.
The West Coast League alone has 5 produce themed teams out of 17 member clubs. So that's a pretty large percentage.
Sure.
So our Studio Simon Stumper today asks, in the West Coast League, which of these categories of produce has no teams in it? Is it A, to use that word again, the aforementioned citrus, B, vegetables, or C, pomes? Do you know what a pome is? If not, I will be happy to tell you.
Pom, Pommes, is that what we're talking about?
No, but I would imagine it comes from the French pomme.
Yes, it
Which
means
is spelled that
apple.
way.
Yeah.
Spelled with 1 M. Let me tell you what it is.
Yeah, let me tell me what a poem is.
A poem is writing that often rhymes, but that's a poem. But a pome is a fruit with a core of seeds surrounded by a thick, fleshy part.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. So tell me these categories again.
A, citrus. B, vegetables. C, pomes.
All right. So poem, we've got the all right, we've got onions. I know there's an onion-based logo. The sweets, and there's an apple-based logo.
Well, here's the thing. Before you go on,
Yeah.
if you're confident that there's an apple team
Yeah.
and a vegetable team,
Yeah. The answer is citrus. I'm just mad at myself
Okay.
that I can't come up with these two teams. So there is no, I believe there is no citrus team, but you got some sweet onions and you've got an apple, and I am 100% blanking on both of those names right now, but I can picture the logos in my head. So I'm going to say citrus, but it feels, even if it's right, it doesn't feel like a victory because I'm not conjuring the names of the two teams I can picture.
you are correct. And I consider it a victory because you didn't even really have to suss this one out. You went right to the fact that there's an apple themed team and right to the fact that there's an onion themed team. And you got the name of the team right. The city, which I should know because I did the identities, Walla Walla.
Walla Walla
The Walla
Sweets.
Walla Sweets.
Dang it.
But there were also another vegetable team and another pome team.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the other vegetable team is the Portland Pickles,
Of course, the pickles. Yeah.
and the other pome team is the Wenatchee Apple Sox.
Oh, I would not have come up with the apple socks.
And the name of the team you were trying to think of but couldn't remember is the Yakima Valley Pippins.
The Yakima Valley Pippins, the Walla Walla Sweets and the Yakima Valley Pippins. Those are the two I was trying to come up with. The Portland Pickles I thought of right away. I don't know why I didn't say them out loud, but yeah, the Pippins and the Sweets, those are the onion and the apple that I was thinking of.
And there was also a berry team, the Marion Berries.
Oh,
So those are the 5 produce teams in the West Coast League, and you got the answer correct.
Wasn't Marion Barry like a super controversial mayor of Washington, D.C.?
Sure was. And now that you mention that, it makes me wonder if the name of that team is intentional. You've got to get the Marion, you've got to do an episode on the Marion Berries, because now I want to know, is it one of the greatest, I guess, puns? Would that be a pun? Or whatever.
Certainly
greatest,
wordplay. Yeah.
Yeah. Or is it strict? I find it hard to believe that's coincidence.
It seems like that would be hard to believe that's an accident. So anyway, well, again, that it feels like an incomplete victory. It feels a little bit like the Dodgers winning the divisional series on a walk-off error by the Phillies pitcher.
A good analogy there.
Yeah,
but I don't feel that way. I feel like you nailed it.
Well, thank you, Dan, and thank you for all the work that you do on the studio assignments numbers. This was a fun one. I enjoyed this one very much. Now I'm going to go find my Pippins hat. I've got a Pickles hat, and I've got a Walla Walla Sweets hat. I have all those hats. So I think that's how I was able to get this one kind of quickly. So, Dan, thanks as always. We'll see you next week.
Okay, I'll see you then.